Hey everybody, Jeff Davis here. Today is Sunday, September 10th, 2017, and it is World Suicide Prevention Day. Nearly 1 million people across our world commit suicide each year, and it is the second leading cause of death among people between the ages of 18 and 29. It's an international epidemic and something needs to be done. Twofold purpose to this video. One, to share with you ways to overcome suicidal thoughts and feelings if you're having those kinds of thoughts yourself. And part two of the video will share with you some quick ways to help other people who you know or think may possibly be dealing with ending their lives with that suicidal thought that sadly plagues many people around the world. Tip number one, if you're struggling with suicidal thoughts yourself, is to shift back into neutral. Look, you don't have to be ultra positive if you're feeling super down. You don't want to hear someone say to you, be positive, because if you're depressed, which I know what it's like to be down, to be depressed, you don't want to hear that. What I'm encouraging you to do is to shift back into neutral. How do you do that? By observing your mind. Remember, you are not your mind, you are the observer of your mind. You are not your thoughts, you are the observer of your thoughts. Meditate. Sit on a chair, lay down on your bed, lay down on your rug or the ground of your floor, the place that you live, and observe your own mind. Detach from those difficult thoughts and realize they don't define you and they are not you. If you can, maybe replace them with a neutral thought like, I'll get through this, I'm gonna take it one breath at a time. Again, you don't have to be super positive. You don't have to start singing Kumbaya and like everything's gonna be okay, because that's not what it feels like when you're at rock bottom. But shift into neutral by observing your mind. Now, I shared one of the ways you can do that is through meditation. There's also prayer. Prayer works really well for a lot of people. You can reflect in a journal. Writing down your thoughts in a journal can be incredibly cathartic. You can call a friend or a family member who cares about you. Sometimes when we're so caught up in our own dysfunction in terms of those thoughts that are making us feel worthless, we forget that we're valuable, that we're worthy, and calling a friend, a family member, a trusted colleague can help pull us out of that depression to shift back into neutral. Another quick way that has helped me shift back into neutral when I felt at rock bottom is going for walks in nature. Sometimes we get so caught up in technology and TV and the online world, we forget that there's an entire world out there waiting for us. So step outside and remember that there's a lot of great people in the world and things will indeed progress, even though at this moment it doesn't feel like it. Okay, so tip number one, to get out of those suicidal thoughts, is to shift into neutral. Tip number two is to remember and remind yourself you are loved. I know what it feels like to think that no one cares. When I was 17 years old, after a series of unexpected setbacks, I was walking to the tree with a rope in my hands, ready to end my life because I was certain no one cared. Everyone at my high school reminded me every day, Jeff, no one cares. But I'm here to tell you that even when it feels like no one cares, you are indeed valued by other people. You're indeed valued and loved by some people. Not everybody, but there is someone out there who cares about you, who loves you. Please remind yourself of that, even when your mind and your thoughts are telling you otherwise. Tip number three, to shift out of rock bottom back into neutral, is to remember that you have a purpose. You have a purpose. Now look, your purpose may not emerge right away. I'm not saying that you're gonna wake up tomorrow morning and your purpose will suddenly dawn on you, but I promise you that there's a reason you're here on this planet. There's a reason for you to be here. You have a purpose, you can get through what you're going through, and you'll eventually help other people. I promise you, you will do that. Okay, so those are the three quick tips in terms of how to overcome suicidal thoughts if you're having them yourself. Part two of this video, how do you help someone who you know for a fact is struggling with suicidal thoughts, or on the other hand, you may not know it for a fact, but you think they might be struggling with depression. You think they might need to be talked to. Tip number one is to listen to them. Listen to them. A lot of people, when they hear someone feeling suicidal, freak out. They totally freak out. Like, how do you respond? How do you talk to them? What do you say? And I get that. I get that feeling of not knowing what to say to someone who's freaking out. But remember, you don't have to say a lot. Listen to them. Listen to them. The mere fact of listening will subconsciously tell that person that they're cared and that they're valued. So listening is huge. Respond to them with comments like, I understand how you feel, and if I were in your shoes, I'd feel the same way. When people feel understood and they feel valued and then they feel cared, that'll really help them get through some of their difficulties. Tip number 2, when you're talking with someone who's struggling with suicidal thoughts, is to remind them that they are loved. Remind them, hey, people care. People love you. You're here on this planet for a reason. Remind them that they're valued. A lot of times people completely forget that they matter. Just tell people, hey, I care. I'm here for you. Call me, text me. There's other people who are here for you as well. It doesn't mean that you're gonna let that person abuse your time and call you 24/7, but at least that person will know that if they are at a point where they don't want to go on with their life, there is someone out there they can call. Reminding someone that they're loved is huge. Tip number 3, when you're talking with someone who's at rock bottom, is to encourage them to seek help. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Let me say that one more time because this is a big misconception in our society. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. I've had to ask for help. I know of countless people who have had to ask for help. Asking for help is 10 times better than not saying anything or not doing anything about it at all. So when you're talking to someone who's at rock bottom, encourage them and remind them that seeking help is a good thing and that it's a sign of strength and that there are psychologists and professionals out there who can help them work through their difficulties. I am not a psychologist myself, but I have been researching this for many years. So I'm sharing with you what has worked for both me and many tens of thousands of people that have also applied these lessons. But I'm using this final tip to remind you, tip 3 of the second part of the video, to remind others to get help because that psychologist, that trained professional will help them get through those incredibly difficult moments. And when people know that it's okay for them to get help, the stigma will be reduced and the suicide rate will go down. Please share this video with someone who you think it may help. If we can do that, if we can get the word out there that it's okay to talk about these kinds of things and that there is indeed help for people who are struggling when they're feeling suicidal, the suicide rate will go down. Have a wonderful day. I appreciate your time and take care.